It felt so natural. It felt like something I'd already been doing. I feel that more and more people are opening up to the energetic healing space and seeking.
Welcome, Kimberly. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you. So, Kimberly is a nurse practitioner, functional medicine specialist, and recent student of our Quantum Touch Level 1 workshop. She has over 16 years experience in medicine, including specializations in cardiology, emergency medicine, and vascular health. Kim brings a unique perspective that bridges conventional healthcare and energy healing. So it was such an honor to share the workshop with you, Kimberly, because you have an idea of the body, anatomy, physiology. When we started running the energy too, it was really awesome to watch you connect the two. You're really weaving it together, which is very inspiring. And also, I think it's going to shape the direction of healthcare.
I feel that as well. I feel that more and more people are opening up to the energetic healing space and seeking that out.
Anyways, we'll get into that, but I really want to start with what brought you to Quantum Touch. So you can kind of share a bit about your journey in healthcare and why you wanted to add Quantum Touch into that.
I have always been very connected with spirit and with energy since a young age. And it was something that I didn't really recognize as being different than anybody else. I thought that kind of everybody saw spirit and was connected with energy and felt and had that intuitive feeling, which I still believe everybody does have.
Mhm.
Awareness varies between individuals.
I love your background. I think you have an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience that weaves so beautifully together. And then you came into Quantum Touch, and it was really cool to see you pick up the technique and share that from the perspective of your experience, which was incredible. So perhaps you can share for everyone what your background is and then what brought you to Quantum Touch?
Okay, sure. So my background through work has actually been, as you had mentioned, in Western medicine. So specifically specialized in trauma medicine, cardiology. That's where I've spent the majority of my career, and more recently in functional medicine. But I've always really felt since a young age this connection with energy and
Mhm.
spirit, seeing spirit, having prophetic dreaming, and just an awareness about life and what was to come, or just intuitions about um, people or places
Mhm.
or things or directions I may want to go. With time, I started to really just draw it more and more towards that side of my brain and connect more, start using both left and right sides of my
Mhm.
brain, which I found out was actually an interesting ability.
Mhm.
And I kind of came to it in an odd situation where it was kind of thrust upon me to
Mhm.
deliver a mediumship reading when I
Mhm.
was in full denial that I did not do that type of.
Mhm.
And I was told, no, no, you do. You're very gifted, so get up here and do it. And I
Mhm.
ended up delivering a really incredible mediumship reading, bringing through a young boy. And that kind of led me more and more down the spiritual pathway and working with energy and opening up to the energetic field, whether it be breath work or sound
Mhm.
medicine, and eventually starting to learn about the quantum field and really taking an interest in quantum healing. I found it online and I thought, I just intuitively knew this is on my path. This is where I'm supposed
Mhm.
to be. I'm going to explore it. And it was interesting because it felt so natural. It felt like something
Mhm.
I'd already been doing.
Mhm.
So when you introduced the techniques, I just felt like this is home. Like
Mhm.
I just fell
Mhm.
into it and knew that it felt right. To
Mhm.
just trust what was flowing through me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
luckily, that trust has been something that's been
Hmm.
built over a long period of time is trusting the things that are flowing through me,
Hmm.
what I
Hmm.
see, what I feel, what I hear, what I smell.
Now, I wonder if you had this experience, because for me, before I learned quantum touch, mind you, I had uh, my fertility whole story of just the awareness of the energy, and I felt like suddenly I was aware of the energy, but I felt like I didn't have an awareness of the energy, and I was very much in denial. And once I learned quantum touch, it gave me almost like a framework to make the energy tangible. And then I could see how I was aware of the energy. And then I could look back in hindsight and I could see how I was becoming aware. And I could see all the steps that led up to this awareness and feeling of the energy. And then it was suddenly, I started having mediumship experiences too. It was like I could connect and I could hear the voices and I could deliver them. And sometimes that would come up in sessions with clients. And or I would just have these sudden knowings. And then I started having prophetic thoughts and all of these things. I feel like we divide them all out with labels. But then I'm like, no, it's all energy and we can access it. And it's simply just being present and being aware and tuning into it. And once you choose to tune into it, then it's available.
Mhm. That's
I,
correct. That's interesting. I love that. It was a little bit different for me in the sense that the connection and the awareness with energy through my body had been happening since a young child. So
mm,
the dreaming, the knowing things that I shouldn't know, the way my body would respond to certain things where I would get goosebumps on the left side of my body as
mm,
a confirmation that I'm on the right path, seeing things, listening to them, and trusting in a voice that I would hear, a message, and trusting it and recognizing that that's all energy. That had been a long period for me where I was experiencing it so strongly, especially in the mediumship, right?
mm,
Coming from such a left brain world where,
mhm,
I have a master's in science. I'm very textbook. I need reasons, I need answers, I need
mhm,
explanations.
mhm,
With all of the energy work, I never had that.
mhm,
So I found that pathway through, despite how strong it was and how I could not deny it,
mhm,
there was still this difficulty with trust at times or confidence to
mhm,
be able to step into a reading and really feel confident in what was coming through me
mhm,
because I didn't quite understand how it was happening because I
mhm,
couldn't apply my left brain to it,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And what was beautiful about doing the quantum healing course was that it gave me some structure that I think my left
mhm,
brain needed.
mhm, mhm,
Be able to then step into very similar work, but now with an undeniable confidence that
mhm,
I don't doubt because it's almost like I have a process
mhm,
that I can say now makes sense to my left brain,
mhm,
but really just allow my right brain to flow.
mhm.
So I would say it was different in that sense where I was still feeling
Yeah.
it all, but now I feel a little bit of relaxation because I have a process.
Yeah. And that is very true. I think quantum touch has such a clear and simple framework for accessing life force energy and feeling it through your body. And the process of feeling it through our body, I is very grounding. And it reminds us, yes, we are physical beings in a physical world, and we can move this energy through. And it really does kind of connect you. It's not like it's all just up in your head and consciousness and energy. It's really grounded through the body. And the framework makes it so simple and repeatable.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way that you can just with practice really start to feel confident because
Hmm.
once you get the techniques down, you just repeat and repeat. And the more you
Hmm.
practice, the easier it gets and
Hmm.
you can relax into it and
Hmm.
just allow it to happen and step out of the thinking, step out of the ego
Hmm.
and just allow the energy to
Hmm.
flow. And
Yeah.
because it's not this you know, big, difficult framework, it doesn't
Hmm.
take long for that to happen, right?
Hmm.
That's the beauty.
Well, and the interesting thing I experienced watching you learn and run the energy and really kind of take off with it was you had a very clear trust in the body.
Mhm.
Like when we get to the point where we say all healing is self-healing and within us is an intelligence that already knows how to heal, a lot of people are still really skeptical about that. You're like, well, can I trust that the body will do that? Or how do I know? And they want proof for that. And it was like you were just like, oh yeah, absolutely. And then you just like took off and you were able to run the energy and you had that just full complete trust that the body obviously knew what it was going to do. And it, the certainty at which you held that, I thought was fascinating.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because while working in Western medicine, specifically in trauma medicine, I often would feel in my body, and I still do this, I feel in my body people's emotions, their physical
Hmm.
pain, their mental pain. I will physically feel it. And I very often have to step back if I'm feeling something that doesn't correlate with what's going on in my life and say,
Mm.
is this mine?
Hmm.
And as soon as I do that, something just says, nope, it's so and so's. And
Hmm.
as soon as I make that recognition, the pain or the emotion stops.
Hmm.
And I found that working in emergency medicine, as much as I loved it, was also very difficult on me energetically
Hmm.
because if I had a medical chart that said knee pain, for
Hmm.
example, I would walk in and I would go to the patient and say, okay, so it hurts right here. And I'd put my thumb exactly on the spot and
Hmm.
I'd say this deep. And they look at me and say, how did you know that? And it's because I would feel it in my own
Hmm.
body, not
Hmm.
only the very specific region, but even the depth in the body where I could really
Hmm.
isolate a specific feeling, right?
Hmm.
So that's been happening for so long
Hmm.
that I do have that trust in just listening
Hmm.
and knowing that our body holds
Hmm.
emotions and
Hmm.
traumas and experience throughout our life.
Hmm.
If we just tune into that and trust it, then we can
Hmm.
get that energy and release it and heal
Hmm.
the body.
Hmm. Yeah, that's incredible. Do you still work in emergency medicine?
I don't.
No.
I actually left emergency medicine about 3 years ago. That was when I was living on an indigenous reserve, working the trauma center there,
Right.
and I left there and started my journey through Peru over the following 3 years.
Wow, that's incredible. And what were you practicing in Peru, or were you kind of living and traveling at that point?
In Peru, I was living there and traveling like back and forth between the two because I had my functional medicine practice here in Canada.
Okay.
But I was there living there between the two and working with the master plant medicines. So specifically working a lot with Wachuma. It's
Okay.
San Pedro cactus. That medicinal component is mescaline, the same thing that is within peyote. And
Okay.
sitting with other master plant medicines like ayahuasca and cacao and hepe, cambo, these different medicines. And a lot of them work in the same, I find them interesting because they are like a physical modality to achieve a very similar thing that
Mm-hmm.
healing does.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we consume that allows our body to open up to the energetic field and really step out of the ego
Mm-hmm.
and just be. Where
Mm-hmm.
quantum healing allows a little bit or requires a little bit more control to be able to step out of the ego, where the medicines make it a little bit easier.
Right.
But in the same breath, both modalities are allowing us to access our field and move and release
Mm-hmm.
energy for healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Incredible.
That's really interesting. I have never done any of those medicines. I've heard many, many stories. And most times, as I'm listening to people's stories, and you can kind of get a sense of their story, and I'm like, that's exactly how I feel with quantum touch. or the way they describe it, I was like, that's how I feel when I finish a session, or that's how I feel when someone's running the energy to me, or that's how I feel after a workshop. This just kind of this depth and this awareness and this love and just this awe.
Right. And I think that that's another beautiful thing about quantum touch
Hmm
is it doesn't matter if we are running it on ourselves or we're running it on somebody else. We are still receiving so much
hmm
healing and opening.
hmm
And it
hmm
allows us, without even trying, to start to look at things in a different light,
hmm
to start to recognize patterns that we may see in people that we're running energy to, but we
hmm
start to recognize them in ourselves.
hmm
And we start to really analyze ourselves in a different light, which brings ourselves healing, even when we're not running the energy.
hmm
So it's
hmm
like once you start, it's like an ongoing healing process that just continues to
hmm
build benefit, which is
hmm
incredibly
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And we have it at our fingertips.
hmm
Once we learn it, we have it.
Yeah.
We can run it at any time
hmm
at no cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't have to book an appointment and drive to,
hmm
another town where we have to wait for an appointment. We can just sit, even if we have 5 minutes, and run
hmm
it on ourselves. We don't
Absolutely.
go to Peru for the medicines some faraway place when you have that modality to
hmm
actually like at your fingertips to work with. And
Yeah.
I mean,
It's very accessible. Absolutely. And even because one of the questions I get a lot in the workshops is, well, how long should I run the energy for? You truly just start running the energy until you feel that energy shift. It's really interesting because when I started, I thought I had to do an hour session, right? Because if you're going to give a massage would be an hour long appointment. So we'll do an hour long energy healing. And in the workshops, we have the exercise where we run the energy for 5 minutes. And repeating this exercise so many times as an instructor, I've realized you can do a lot in 5 minutes and you can create a lot of impact and you can generate a lot of energy in only 5 minutes. And that was game changer for me and then made it more accessible because I think in the beginning, I wouldn't run the energy as often because I'm like, oh, I don't have an hour. I don't have the time. And once I realized that even a 5 minute session is going to be pretty powerful and effective, then it makes it more accessible. And then as we share that and other people start realizing just how powerful even a 5 minute session is, it does make it very accessible.
absolutely. And that's just it. It's like anything. The more we practice it, the
hmm
easier it gets. And it doesn't take us as long.
hmm
When you're first learning to ride a bike, it might take you an hour to really get it down pat,
hmm
right?
hmm
But then before you know it, you just hop on and off you go and you're riding that bike.
hmm
It's the same thing with accessing the quantum field. When at first, when we're trying to learn how to settle our mind and settle our body and tune out our environment and release the ego and just tap in, that can take
hmm
time because
hmm
many people,
hmm
oh, I got to do the laundry. Oh,
hmm
to feed
hmm
the dog.
hmm
And all of these things pop in and we can't settle it. But
hmm
with practice, we start to learn to let that go and just
hmm
really come into the body. And
hmm
then before you know it, you can just tune in
hmm
within like quickly. And that's
hmm
why 5 minutes can be so effective because it doesn't take you long to access
hmm
that field anymore.
hmm
You make
hmm
intention. I'm going into the field. I am expanding my energy. Boom, I'm there running the energy. And now
hmm
I'm uplifted and off you go.
hmm
So it's again just practice and allowing yourself
Yeah.
to expand.
Yeah. So I would love to know, how are you using quantum touch now? How are you using it with work?
So it's interesting because I do quantum sessions and it's very much similar to what I have been doing with
hmm
the breathing. It's very similar to the techniques I learned roughly 10 years ago in England about tuning into the breath. So that has really been a part of my practice for a long time, but
Mhm,
now there's these additional quantum healing tools that I'm
mhm,
adding into the basket. And I do offer quantum sessions or hands-on healing sessions. And
mhm,
I also find it's interesting that many people, just through expanding my energy, people that are coming to my functional office now are people that are looking for energy healing and
mhm,
really tuned into, oh, I see that you do healing touch. I see
mhm,
that I'm really in need of energetic healing, where I wasn't getting those clients before,
mhm,
right? But
mhm.
now my field that's open to it is now attracting the people that their field is calling for
Yeah.
it. So my work or my office is expanding because my field has expanded, so the
Mhm,
opportunities are now flowing in. That is one piece where I'm doing more quantum healing
mhm,
sessions, healing touch sessions, but I also use it just when I'm sitting with patients. And
mhm,
what I'm finding, and this has been something I've found really interesting, is people naturally are starting to, I've had a whole group of people recently say, they just like start to release tears and release
mhm,
energy.
mhm.
And they're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'm just crying and I don't know
Right.
why. Like, something in your energy is just making me feel so open. And like, I hope is okay.
Mhm,
And I kind of chuckle and I say, absolutely, just let it flow. This
mhm,
is good. This is release.
mhm,
But I find it interesting that just opening my field through the work is positively impacting all
mhm,
of those around me, including my clients that are
mhm,
coming for health reasons. They're
mhm.
also getting energetic
Yeah.
release just through joining with that field.
Absolutely. I mean, resonance and entrainment, right? You were using the techniques, you're bringing that life force energy through your field, and people are naturally going to entrain to that and be attracted to that.
Right. And
Hmm.
it's really interesting to watch, right? Because
Hmm. Hmm.
we hear about it, we teach about it, but when
Hmm.
you actually see it in full on action, and
Hmm.
like suddenly everyone that's coming to your office is saying like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm really
Right.
releasing energy right now, and they're not someone to necessarily talk about energy.
Right. Hmm.
That's
That's
fascinating.
really cool.
I mean, I think that's just divinely guided.
And how are you using quantum touch in your own life?
So I love to use it with family and friends, and
Mm-hmm.
also just with myself to sit, to join in some of those modalities with my meditations.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the breathing techniques, the baseline techniques are very similar to what I had learned, but I like to add in all of the additional techniques to just heighten that energy and
Mm-hmm.
expand if I have pain somewhere in my body or if I'm aware that I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding on to some emotions. And I
Mm-hmm.
also love to use it on my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and he's very good at it now. He used to get very overly excited by the energy
Mm-hmm.
when I first started working with him, which I found interesting as well because he was very in tune.
Very cool. Well, this has been so wonderful to catch up and hear how you are using quantum touch. And thank you for sharing all of your insight. It's so great to hear the connection between both your traditional medicine background and then how you are incorporating energy healing into that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for offering the course, and doing it in such a beautiful way with your energy and your knowledge and your skills. It's much appreciated, and so many people are benefiting from you sharing.